Alrighty, good morning. I think I'm wrapped up with the bed. I'm just gonna jump right into it. We're not gonna sugarcoat it or drag this out any longer than I already have. Yeah, the bed is pretty much wrapped up. Let me go ahead and flip this thing around and show you what I'm talking about. All right, so here we go. Got her all welded in. As you can see, I do not claim to be the best welder in the world. But I think I figured out the perfect name for this truck. I think we're gonna call her the Mad Max because I'm not going for perfect on this vehicle. I want it to look rough and rugged. I want it to look like kind of how I found it on the farm. Lost, hopeless, looking for a little love. So here we are. Had a little bit of warpage a little bit in some spots, and so the problem with that is, and the reason why you can't get the sides and the center weld flush is because when you have that warpage the way it is, it wants to bow in and then you kind of create a cavity or whatever. And the only way to really fix that is to go through there and just layer up weld on top of weld on top of weld. And you know what? I'm just not really willing to do that. I've got to go back on all four corners and finish up the bottom pieces, but I'm gonna wait till the bed's actually on the truck. So I can go ahead and remove that brace and call her good. I don't think I'm gonna grind the inner welds. I think I'm gonna leave them there just the way they are because I just don't give a damn. And it's a story to talk about when people see the truck. So yeah. That's what she's gonna look like. I don't even know if I'm gonna touch it up with the paint or not. I think I might just leave it looking like that. I don't know, we'll see how the rust starts. That's the only bad thing about leaving it raw, exposed metal like that, is then you're gonna introduce premature rust. And then, you know, like I said, like I was showing you, the welds aren't the greatest, so there was some porosity and some imperfections with the actual surface that you're welding. Because I mean, you got to think that this metal is not prepped technically correct, right? Like you can't get to the backside on some of this stuff to clean it up, and so especially down here is where I kind of ran into some issues. So it almost seems like the metal on the top side of this bed is a little thicker, or at least it was just in better condition, because as I got lower down here on these seams, I was blowing through way more than I was blowing through up here at the top. So, you know, it is what it is. It's all held together real well. You know, I went back on some of the spots that were real bad and kind of doubled up and grinded down and re-welded and grinded down just to make sure that I was getting pretty good penetration. But throughout the bottom of this bed, all the way around, not so much in this area, but I know on the tail section, there are a lot of just little pinholes, right? And so what I think I was running into was the back side of this bed isn't in the best condition. And so there's a lot of surface rust on the back end. And so I would get about an inch or two, and then I'd blow through like a good inch, and then I'd find good metal again, right? And then I'd have to go back and build it up, and then grind it down. And so that's what kind of leads to a little bit of the warping and all these kind of things. But you know what? Like I said, I really don't care. If there comes a day I really want to get after this truck and turn her into a show truck, I'll just get a new bed, or I'll find a bed, a short bed that can be salvaged, and I'll get after it that way. I also still haven't come through and drilled my holes for my my cross brace here. So I got to drill the holes and then tack weld those to secure that to the bottom. But I've spent too much time on this bed as it is. You know, I'm kind of one that likes to get the job done right, but sometimes I lose sight of what the actual intention of this truck is, right? Like I want it to be a daily driver. I want to keep that old look to it. I don't want it to be a pavement princess or some show truck. I want it to be kind of rough and rugged. I like that look. And so that's why I was thinking the other day, I was like, you know, Mad Max sounds like a pretty cool name for this truck. It's gonna have that look. I'm going to, like I've talked about probably several times now, but I'll always continue to mention it because I don't know when you catch these videos and which ones you've seen and which ones you haven't or whatever, but it's an inline six that we're gonna turbo. And instead of running the exhaust all the way out the back of the truck that you normally see, I'm gonna go out just, I'm gonna come out with the exhaust probably here instead of going over the rear axle and exiting out the back. It's just gonna have like a cool old school, I don't know, rough, rugged type look to it. And I'll create some sort of, or buy some sort of, whatever is easier, to be honest with you. Some sort of panel where it's gonna have the exhaust and the wastegate exit out the side. And I think it's gonna be pretty cool. I don't know. This is all a game we're playing here. I'm learning as we go. But anyways, don't let me ramble on here too much. I got to catch myself. I'll just start going. But right now, I'm gonna cut the frame. I got to get in here. I'm gonna cut out the exhaust, disconnect the brake, the emergency brake cable. I got to disconnect the spring, and then I'm probably going to clamp off the brake line, disconnect that, and then cut the wiring because I'm going to rewire this truck. So, yep. So let me throw this camera out. Let me get to work. It's already, I don't know, probably 10 o'clock. And I haven't started on this part yet, but I'll time lapse me getting rid of this stuff, and then I'll get a little bit more detailed when it comes to cutting the frame. Cool. All right, so here's my prep job. This is the 16 inches. I mean, I'm sure you've watched this video, you've seen many others, so I'm not gonna bore you with all the intricate details, right? But obviously 16, measure there, we got 16, measure here to there, double, triple check your work. Taking this section out, I'm going to be having beveled corners, right? Rounded off corners. That way the load is distributed equally and evenly. Once we weld it all back together, that's like the key, one of the reason, well, two reasons why we do it like this. The Z cut helps to distribute the load, and then obviously beveling the corners as well. So that's really it when it comes to this. I mean, 16 inches is 16 inches, right? And you just got to double, triple check all of your measurements. And then, yeah, you should be good to go. So I'm gonna set this camera up and we're gonna get to cutting. Got my jack stands down, got everything ready. Got my little shade tree jack back there, holding up the tail end so that doesn't go flying. Yeah, so we're good to go. Let's cut this thing. All right, what a day. I have cut the frame and welded it. What a day, man. I started first thing this morning, got rolling pretty good, and once I sectioned the frame, the 16 inches on the front, things started to kind of slow down a little bit. And we'll talk through it. We'll go through the situation I found myself in. As you can see, the old cherry picker there attached to it. It's kind of what I had to use to hold it up. A lot of other videos I've seen, they leave the tires on and they kind of help that to kind of roll it into place or whatever. Well, the tires on the rear end of this truck were oversized, so it was putting too much of a pitch on the frame. And so I ended up having to take them off, and I thought I could use, just a jack and kind of wheel it into place. And man, I fought myself for a good amount of time, longer than I'd be willing to tell you here on camera. But anyways, it is what it is. I got it done, and here, let me show you what I did. All right. So I believe on the last video, I kind of showed you how I marked it all off and, did my thing or whatever. And so here's the final product. Well, I say final product. I still have to go back and put a couple stiffeners alongside. I don't know if I'm gonna do the outside or the inside. Probably the inside, because I think I have more room, but you know what, to be honest with you, now I'm thinking about it, I don't really think it matters. It would be easier to do it on the outside, but it'd probably look better if it was on the inside. So I don't know. The only thing that's messing me up here is you have a crease that runs along this frame right here. It's kind of hard to tell, but I'll put my finger through it. There you go. So that crease right there kind of prevents you from bringing the stiffener across the frame too far this way. You kind of want to bring it out a good little ways on either side to kind of help disperse the weight there. And so, but you know, these welds came out well. I got both inside and outside done. You can see it's kind of messy. I think I mentioned it at the beginning of this whole series that I used Flux Shield welding wire just because it's cheap and it's easy and you don't have to get shielding gas, right? And so, hang on, let me flip this camera around. Yeah, so you don't have to get shield gas, which isn't really that big of a deal. But you know, I'm a one-man shop here and every little thing adds up. So that's one thing I found about this project was it really took me a lot longer than I thought it was going to take me. But that being said, there was a few days in there where I could have been out here, but it had been a long day with work, and so I didn't come out and get anything done. But you know, all in all, I'd say I've never done this before. It came out pretty good. I kind of, like I said, took my time, made sure I did it right, and I got a few other things I need to do along with the bed. But this video is going to wrap up this short bed conversion. I don't really plan on putting the bed back on the frame for a little while. I have my engine at the machine shop. I got to remove the fuel tank from inside the cab. I've got to repair the floorboards either side inside the cab, and I got to do that patch behind the panel. So, and I got to put a fuel tank. I got to put a fuel tank back here as well, right? I'm removing the one out of the cab and throwing it in the back. So that's going to require me to cut the stiffener out and relocate it. I still got to do the 4-inch cut on the back end, but I mean, you don't need to watch me do that to know how to do that. That's real simple. What else? I don't know. If you have a truck that you're doing this with and you have oversized tires on the back, I suggest you either invest in some sort of, you know, hoist type, you know, engine picker, if you've got an overhead crane, if you've got something, because I tried to deflate the tires. I tried a lot of tricks to try to, you know, help me out with the situation, but none of it was working. I was, you know, just spinning my feet. So I just made the decision to bust out the cherry picker and get it done. I did mess around with it for a long time before I decided to get that cherry picker out. So, you know, learn a lesson from me. If you're in the same boat I'm in, just get that cherry picker out and go to town. It saved me a lot of time and worked out quite well. So, well, that's it. I think this is video 14 when I publish it. And so, you know, I always ask, I'm a small channel, I'm just growing. And so the more people that view it, obviously is gonna push the algorithm, but I'd really appreciate it if you like it, subscribe, comment, tell me I did a shitty job, my welds suck. I don't really care, my haircut looks stupid. I don't really care. Just comment, like it, subscribe, interact with the video. It'll help me move along a lot quicker. And I appreciate you. Until next time, peace.